Well, I had a few moments there battling with the technology to try to get all back on track again. Interesting, the software upgrades that be going on. They do be going on, and we're trying to figure out how to work the thing, get it all sorted. Anyway, we're up and running, which is great. Thanks be to God, and thanks to the ladies, to Jessica and Katie, joining us there, giving us the Damascus, the road to Damascus. These amazing conversion stories, which are many and common nowadays. Extraordinary grace that flows, and literally it is like that. It's a blinding light from heaven for some. Others, it's a progression, and it takes time. It's a journey very often, and in fact, if we properly understand the spiritual life at all and our Lenten journey, it's actually a lifelong task. It's a little bit like married life. It's a decision to get up every day and to love. Love is a decision. It's nice if the romantic feelings are there. It's nice if the mood is right and so on. It's not always the case, though, of course, as we well know. Anybody who's been around any length of time knows well. There are days when I'm just not in the mood, don't want to get out of bed, don't want to do this anymore. Can I please give up now? And that's perfectly normal, that's human, that's just how life is. And you just power on, you just get through the day. We all have those days, even me, when it's a case more of duty, it's not a case of feeling. You know the story of Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, how for 40 years she was in the desert spiritually, yet she powered on, as in she just determinedly, it was more in her case an act of the will. She felt a kind of absence of God. And that's often a test that's given to us, but especially to those who are on the high road of sanctity, that they will have that experience of God being gone or at a distance, or just not, this sense of the emotional sense of it isn't registering in the way it did say in the beginning, early zeal of conversion. So it's ongoing, and that's true for all of us. It's an ongoing task. It's not, St. Paul, in fact, you look at his story, in his case too, he fell off the horse, or I don't even know if he was on a horse, but he was struck by a blinding light and he was blinded. And we see that for 14 years, he tells us in his letter to the Galatians, he went off to Arabia and didn't come back until many years later. So he must have gone on some serious faith journey to find his way back again to preach and extend the church to the Gentiles in Turkey and Greece, and extraordinary, to Rome, of course, eventually. Extraordinary mission that he had. That came some years later, after he had conferred as well with Peter, James and John in the early church. So for St. Paul, okay, you had that moment of transformation, but again, what he didn't endure after it. In 2 Corinthians, you see the litany of beatings that he took, and imprisonment and chains and hunger and shipwreck and sleepless nights, and God bless him, he suffered immensely for the faith. So we shouldn't try to, I suppose my point really, not to over glamorize these things or make them seem like it's it's a sled ride kind of thing, an easy surf to the finish line. No, a lot of work, a lot of effort demanded of us, and a lot of challenge too. And we're in that time of challenge, there's no doubt. We had a lovely chat yesterday. If you didn't get to hear it, it was on last night, we repeated it last night. It'll be up as a podcast too, with Bishop David O'Connell. And we were touching on some of these topics, and this was part of the celebration of St. Patrick's Day. Bishop David is one of the auxiliary bishops in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and is a Corkman. Went to Ferns Secondary School in Cork, and just on the strength, as he told us, of a very brief conversation with one of the priests, basically got a ticket to Los Angeles and went off to study there, and actually studied in All Hallows here in Dublin, the Vincentians, but for the Diocese of Los Angeles, and became a priest there and ministered in very difficult areas in South LA, crime, drug-related issues, violence too, and great devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe, there of course among the Hispanic community, and instrumental, he said, in bringing many of these poor souls and struggling families and difficult conditions back to faith again. Lovely chat we had. So it was a kind of round table around Zoom discussion. John Carlin was on as well, our president, with Sarah and Aisling as well, and myself. So it was nice. It was our first time doing a Zoom broadcast on radio, a simul broadcast, so that we could be separate but together again, the same idea. Amazing. So I've listened back to that. We had a nice little Keolig's Crack bonus edition last night at 7 as well. They're nice little shows just to listen back to on the podcast anytime you want as well. Do have a listen in. And there's some lovely little excerpts from homilies preached yesterday by our hierarchy for St. Patrick's Day. Archbishop Dermot Farrell here, making the point. He was in St. Patrick's Church in Ringsend and saying how unfair he felt it is that restrictions on attendance at funerals is so limited at the moment. This is some of the summary points. The planned exit from the current severe restrictions is being watched by many citizens who expect their religious practice to be respected by the public authorities and not be subordinated to commercial interests. So, to be fair, the bishops are speaking out quite strongly on this question. This is a matter of health and well-being, that is the spiritual practice, the sacraments for many. While a balance must be struck, easing restrictions on worship has a better founded statutory claim than other activities which may be pressed by powerful commercial interests. That's an interesting avenue of thought. You know, there's a better founded statutory claim for restoring divine worship at Holy Mass. From the perspective of the state, the right to public worship is protected by the Constitution of Ireland in Article 44. However, the number who are allowed to worship cannot be randomly determined as if it were some mathematical formula. This is about people, the protection of people's health and the fostering of people's well-being. And at some point, surely, our spiritual well-being, maybe at every point, you could argue, trumps our physical well-being. That's a point that could be made from the point of view of faith, certainly. As a matter of human dignity and fairness, this is Archbishop Dermot here in Dublin, I call on public authorities to give assurance that the legitimate desire of people to gather responsibly and within reasonable guidelines to exercise their constitutional right to worship will be prioritised in the easing of restrictions. That's very, very important, and well done to Archbishop Dermot there. Just putting it very plainly and very, very clearly. And with that in mind, Aidan just put the form here, it's been issued by the Catholic Bishops' Conference as well, a statement by the Northern Bishops announcing that public worship may resume in Northern Ireland from Friday the 26th of March. The Northern Bishops, of course, Archbishop Eamonn Martin, Bishop Noel Traynor, and the Bishop of Derry, Bishop, shame on me, blank. It'll come back to me. Bishop, no, not Dermot. Sorry, Bishop of Derry. I've met him recently, so it'll come back to me again. Sorry about that. Just a senior moment. Are we allowed to have those? Bishop Donal, that's it. Bishop, again, surname what will come. All these things, it's like a senior moment. These things come eventually. So, Bishop Donal McCune, is that right? At any rate, good to hear this from the north of Ireland. And who was it we were chatting with recently? The Bishop of Clogher, saying how, Bishop Larry Duffy it is, how, on the border from Monaghan through to Tyrone, is it? That, he has parishes straddling the border in that way, and that, you can go to Mass in one end of the parish, but you can't go on the other. There's something, it just, somebody has to say something, and help us understand the logic behind all of this. So the bishops then of the north emphasise the need for continued caution, and that's correct too, and a rigorous application of all mitigations and safeguards required to ensure the safest possible return to public worship in our churches. Yes, no, I would say that's a given, naturally. All of us want to keep one another safe, and in fact there's no better community really in many ways, within the Catholic community to watch out for one another. We're not perfect by any means, we're not claiming to be, but certainly we excel at these things. Every person should carefully consider if returning to collective worship is the safe and appropriate step for them at this time. So that's a fair point. You know, if it is that the church doors are thrown open wide and we can go back to Mass tomorrow, there's still that cautionary note for some. Families are encouraged to join those celebrating the passion, death and resurrection of Jesus in churches from the domestic church of their own living rooms via live streaming. So that's a given, I would say, in this time certainly. And it's true of those who otherwise simply are unable to attend. We'll gladly provide that service for you here in Radio Maria as well. Bishops, together with other church leaders, encourage all on Easter Sunday to pray and reflect in a spirit of remembering, solidarity and hope in the context of the current pandemic. So I suppose that holds across the board, north or south, or just regardless, that we play our part to participate in the ceremonies and the blessings of the Passion of Christ and Easter Sunday, even if it is online. So there's been consultation between representatives of the churches, the Executive Office and our public health authorities in the north, and in the light of the most recent review of lockdown provisions by the Northern Ireland Executive yesterday, the Northern Catholic bishops are pleased to announce that, where possible, there can be a cautious return to public worship for the faithful from the 26th of March, that's Palm Sunday I believe, in time for the celebration of Holy Week and Easter. Absolutely marvellous to hear, and thumbs up to that really in the north of Ireland, thanks be to God. And maybe that indeed might just be the indication that the same can take place here in the Republic as well. Please God. We note that other Christian churches will be making a similar announcement in keeping with key dates in their liturgical traditions around Easter. So there's a need, obviously, indeed, for continued vigilance and caution. And in emphasising this cautious nature of this return to worship, the bishops reminded the faithful that the obligation to attend Mass on Sundays and holy days remains suspended, and that every person should consider carefully if returning to collective worship is the safe and appropriate step for them at this time. Again, this is all to do with the north of Ireland. We continue to strongly encourage participation where possible, including in the ceremonies of Holy Week by way of live streaming. So that certainly holds good. Need a drink there, sorry. I was on the radio, Radio Maria USA during the week on the day before St. Patrick's Day, and it was nice just to chat there. But the priest there, Father Dan, was saying that in his diocese and where he's living, just south of Nashville, Tennessee, is where he's based. He said you wouldn't know there was a lockdown, and you wouldn't know there's 80 people coming to Mass in the morning. It's everything is operating as always was, ever more shall be, I suppose. Everything perfectly normal there. Now he did say that in neighbouring dioceses and neighbouring territories, there were some restrictions in the USA now going on, and limitation to some numbers. I suppose it depends on the state, maybe. But where he was, everything was fine. And I thought, wow, we're so jealous already. And he was quite surprised and amazed to hear it at the level of restrictions here in Ireland. Somebody just wasn't aware of it at all. And again, other European countries, as we know, I listen in from time to time, listen into Radio Maria in Italy, just to get a sense of, see what they're doing on Radio Maria Italy. They've been on the go a lot longer than we have, of course, and can learn a few things maybe. But Holy Mass in the morning in Italian, you can hear a fine congregation and a choir and everything else, and lovely responses to the Mass in the morning. And Italy was pretty badly hit by the whole thing, but they're there. They're back and they're worshipping together. So very good. So sure, there will be caution, naturally, and continued vigilance, and that's no bad thing, and that's an important thing to keep in mind, no doubt, as well. Amendments to the liturgies of Holy Week will be required, I expect indeed with numbers. Priests are asked to work closely with parish pastoral councils and COVID-19 support teams in making decisions at a local level on how best to celebrate Holy Week and Easter in a safe manner. We take this opportunity to extend our sincere gratitude to parish teams throughout the country, including caretakers, stewards and cleaners. And it's somebody, there's another priest who's been saying in the air with us here. It's remarkable how the church mobilised a huge voluntary force to set up all the conditions necessary to continue worship and visiting churches too. Wonderful that people are so good. Their task is not an easy one. We appeal to all the faithful to cooperate fully with, again, all of those trying to uphold the safeguards and that. So there's a little uncertainty in relation to celebration of ceremonies like confessions, first communions, confirmations. Excuse me. And no doubt that will be governed by local circumstances. Just to give a shout out again to the Dominicans who are hearing confessions in Cork and St. Mary's on Saturday afternoons, and I understand they're kept well busy. But they have it arranged in such a way, it's in one door and out the other, I think, and the distancing and so on, that is perfectly safe. And one at a time, obviously, confession. And here in Dublin as well, in St. Saviour's, likewise too. I think Saturday afternoons here in St. Saviour's. If somebody might like to confirm that to me, that would help just to give the exact times for that. And I was informed, I think Mullingar Cathedral, they have confessions as well. Again, I'm not certain as to how the arrangements are, but we did receive a text some time ago just affirming that for us. So if you know of places which are where confession is available, please text us in or email us in or drop a comment here on Facebook or YouTube and just let us know. And I'd love to announce it because we're all crying out really for regular confession. I know myself, if I let it go too long, it's not healthy. Things just tend to disintegrate and fray at the edges. It's like everything else. If you don't take the car in for a service, did that the other day, fine bald tyres or balding tyres on the front, and the brake pads well in need. I knew the brakes were a bit spongy on the promotion car, the Radiomeer car. It needed cost over €1,000 actually to service our car. So if you're wondering where your kind donations are going, that's a very important element of our visibility out on the streets and on the road. And naturally it's a car that's 5-6 years old. It's perfectly normal for the tyres to need replacing maybe once a year, depending on the mileage of course, and the brake pads and that, and so that it passes the NCT, well, if you have a car yourself. But at any rate, that's the same for the soul, an NCT for the soul, and it shouldn't be an annual one. I'd be remiss to say, okay, that's the minimum if you like. But just like the car needs a regular clean and a hoover and a regular top up with petrol and so on, the soul the very same, that we should try and strive to get consistently and regularly to confession. So do please let me know if there are confessions available around Ireland. Mullingar Cathedral is one, the Dominicans, St. Saviour's in Dublin, Pope's Key in Cork. There may well be other places like that as well. Do please let me know. So this is what the bishops are reminding us of. It's certainly a time of mercy and of healing, conscious that Holy Week and Easter, traditionally many people ask in a particular way God's forgiveness through confession. It may not be possible for all who wish to safely avail of the sacrament of reconciliation. We strongly encourage all the faithful to confidently renew their trust in God's mercy at this sacred time of year through an act of perfect contrition. So a little note to self there, maybe on Good Friday particularly. We can do that in Holy Week, sure, to maybe arrange that prayer of an act of perfect contrition. Perhaps we should pre-record something and put it on air at regular intervals. Maybe we should do that indeed, as a reminder at this time of year indeed to avail of God's mercy. That was the lesson for the readings this morning at Holy Mass. Moses pleading on behalf of the Israelites for mercy, interceding for them and making reparation for them. Lovely moment really for Moses in his ministry. So we're called to that act of mercy too, and to call upon God's mercy. We have, by the way, here, if anybody would like to receive one, please do give us a text or an email or give a phone call, and we will send you out the little leaflet. Many of you probably have it, I'm sure, of the Divine Mercy Chaplet, novena, which we will pray with you from Good Friday through to Divine Mercy Sunday. So we have those. We got a big stock of them here. If you'd like one, give a call. Mary's on the phone there, 014123456. Annoy the Hain Cahar Hain 03 Cahar Could Shake or Lake Oring on shop. We'd glad to receive your call. If you're in the north or outside of Ireland, plus 353 141233456. Give us a shout. Or text again 089 467 2000 plus 353 89 467 2000. Love to hear from you. Or drop an email as well at info@radiomaria.ie. Comment and subscribe, all those things. Our message via Messenger, that's getting popular too. And we'll do our very best to keep up and catch up with all of those. Mary's ready to answer the phone as I speak downstairs. There's 4 lines actually here, and it's lovely in recent times to see 3 red lights on the phone with the 3 phone calls going on at the same time. Keeping us busy at Radio Maria. We're glad to be that busy as well and to accompany you along the way. So listen, we'll keep that intention in prayer, that the reopening of our churches here in Ireland, that there may at least be some concession to allowing people to attend for Holy Mass, again safely and with the right safeguards for Holy Week, with God's help. I can imagine certainly some on the border crossing over to the north to attend Holy Mass. I can envisage that taking place. And again, maybe that's a reason why in the Republic, we should be consistent across the country with that, So now, St. Patrick's Day message to the people of Ireland at home and abroad from Archbishop Eamonn Martin this time. I pray that people who are struggling with the pandemic, whose livelihoods have been threatened or have contracted the virus, will find in St. Patrick the courage and resilience to go on. Indeed, I think that prayer was answered in my own case. I've mentioned before, well, I'm sure many of you, St. Patrick's Day was my first COVID anniversary. It was a day I remember celebrating Mass last year and just feeling rotten, just flu-y. Nobody knew anything much about the virus at that time, and was just under the weather. And it had been coming on me for a couple of days, and just thinking, I'll sleep it off, I'm tired, or whatever. And just remember in the kitchen after Mass, having the usual cup of tea and scrolling with Roisin, and just saying, look, I can't do this, I got to go home to bed, I just feel absolutely rotten. And Thomas Roach was telling me he was waiting for me to join him for Ceola because crack had to wing it afterwards. Anyway, thanks be to God, no one contracted the virus who was in and around that day. There's nobody in the building, and I celebrated Mass that day, and it must have been contagious, surely at that time. So we were spared that, thanks be to God. I'm so glad indeed. Well, not a pleasant illness to have, a bad dose of flu in my case. And something you wouldn't really want to wish on anybody. So the safeguards we're doing, I can relate to. I can understand why that would be certainly a necessary thing, with due discretion, of course, and a little bit of common sense, I think, thrown in as well. So Archbishop Eamonn, I pray, as we reflect on our shared history, that we will find in St. Patrick a source of courage and values as we face with confidence new possibilities for today and tomorrow on this island. That's true. Lots of interesting possibilities happening here. And he did mention, I didn't get to listen yesterday, I wonder if he referred to it, the centenary of partition in Ireland, a political centenary, but that the united desire of the Christian churches of the north of Ireland, and I hope across the country, again I'm not sure how far the initiative extends, but for peace, ongoing peace and reconciliation in the north and certainly across the border. He must surely have referred to it. It's not written before me here, but I've no doubt he must have indeed. And finally, I pray that we will be as open as St. Patrick was to the cry of the poor, the lonely and isolated, the bereaved, the stranger and exile among us, the prisoner, the homeless and the hungry. So I do hope we're certainly answering that prayer here in Radio Maria too, at least insofar as it's possible for us as a radio station. I'll take a small pause for a piece of music. I'd love if you would get in touch, please. 089467200 to text or WhatsApp. Save the number, write it down. and text us anytime you wish. If you have a music request, a prayer request, maybe a thought, a comment, an observation, a little testimony or witness, and do share that with us. If you know of confessions taking place that people can attend to within the allowed range of travel, please let us know as well. And do telephone 014 123 456, email info@radiomaria.ie. Send a message via Messenger and Facebook too. Drop a comment here on Facebook, YouTube Live, anytime you like. And we always do our best to attend to those. So Aidan has a nice piece of music lined up for us from the Holy Family Mission. And little shout outs, Father Patrick, actually, who's playing the guitar with them on the CD. Lovely singers and a lovely apostolate. He'll be on with Father Marius this evening for Rosary Stories, Father Patrick. So that'll be well worth tuning in for. That starts 6:45 this evening, and usually brings his guest on around 7 or 5 past. And it's worked out that we stretched the program a little bit, that he has a bit more time with his guest, Father Marius. It's a great show. So Father Patrick Cahill will be on this evening, but now he's accompanying the Holy Family Mission with a lovely song, Be Still My Soul. Very good. Suspiog here on social media. Catch up with our messages here. Okay, there's an audio problem there. Let me see. I can probably fix that, Ulrika. Oh, it is fixed. Okay. Testing 1, 2. Testing. It's not a microphone issue, Ulrika. I don't think. Oh dear. Hope I haven't done anything wrong there. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that might be. Ulrika, thanks for the message there. Let me see here. No. Aidan's attention here now, if I can. Can you see me there now? I'm going to wave in there. I know it looks a bit silly here, doesn't it? He's got his head down, don't worry. Okay. I'll catch Aidan's attention there. It's a nice piece of music, isn't it? Can you just, have you got some details of for the conference on Saturday? Just the shape of it? I might give it a shout out, Aidan.
Oh, sure. I'll send you on. There's a link up there to the video.
Oh, great.
John, will I go straight into the video?
Oh, do. Play it, sure. Play it. Brilliant. Thanks. I know.
For you have the details on the Chatechesis only, and this video it only has text. But the music will give it away anyway.
Yeah.
That's something different.
Perfect. You might be wondering what that little musical insert was doing there. We're not starting our own little dance groove here or anything. Those videos are flying around too. No, there's a great video that Sarah has put together there and put up in relation to the conference that will be here on Radio Maria on Saturday, the Ignite 2021 conference. And she and her colleagues helping her, I think Annette, there may be others involved too, are doing Trojan work and reaching out to all of the university students around Ireland and drawing them into this online conference of faith. And it'll be hosted here on Radio Maria Ireland all day Saturday as well. So do join or merge in with our regular programming here and join with us. So it'll be from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The day after tomorrow, Saturday the 20th of March. And some speakers, Father Gregory Pine, a Dominican priest, will join us via Skype perhaps, or online certainly. Sister Mara Rose, who is one of the Nashville Dominican sisters here with us in Ireland, will join us. Father Vincent Stapleton, whom we've heard many times with Eileen and Joy on Life to the Full. And Father Vincent hails from Tipperary. I always have an image of Father Vincent, I must say, of him as if he's always holding a hurley in the commentary box in Semple Stadium. He has that kind of a voice and delivering passion for the faith, you know. Very appropriate for young people, of course. And of course, Sarah herself will be leading, guiding and directing things. And I think they have a little moment lined up for me as well. Instead of the Chatechesis, it'll be a Q&A with the young students, which I'm very much looking forward to. Something that I always enjoy anytime visiting schools and that. So it's great that young people themselves will be addressing questions of faith that are matter to them. So it's all well advertised on our Instagram page and the Ignite Ireland Instagram page too. So look it up, the Ignite Conference. It'll be here on Radio Maria for our university students between 11 and 5 p.m. And because you're a listener to Radio Maria, you can by all means earwig on the whole thing and enjoy it. In fact, enjoy the lovely young voices and the energetic enthusiasm that will accompany this day of broadcasting. Really looking forward to it. In fact, a little bit of preparation going on ahead of time. Sarah had a St. Patrick's Day online Zoom quiz, I think it was, and St. Patrick's Day festivities. Of course, young people, being young people, it's hard to keep them apart. They'd be very glad to be in each other's company for the buzz and meeting and so on. But this is online, and so they had a great roundup of fun there last night via Zoom. And she had 140 participants. That's no small gathering. So that's an indication of the wonderful students around Ireland that we have, and really looking forward to sharing that with you on Saturday as well. So thanks to Sarah and all involved for all the wonderful work they're doing. So hashtag Ignite Ireland Conference 2021. Hashtag audio retreat is down there as well. So Ignite, do Ignite Ireland. Look that up there and you'll find out lots more about it as well. Well, thanks for the messages. This is great. Delighted to hear this. So the Sacred Heart Church in Limerick has confessions apparently every day. So drop in there to the Sacred Heart Church, and I think is that run by the, oh gosh, is the Fraternity of St. Peter? Is that community there? They would celebrate in the traditional form there. So do look them up. I don't know what the times are. St. Saviour's here in Dublin, 8 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. Monday to Friday. So, oh, thanks, John. That's John Delaney letting us know there. So that must be around Mass time, I guess, in St. Saviour's. Monday to Friday, how about that? 8 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. as well. And there was another one or two. A caller rang in to say she thinks that the Dominicans have confessions in Newbridge every Saturday. Of course, they have a community there too. So do please pass the word. Pass the word, let others know. Indeed. Let me see, there's one or two other lovely messages here as well. Thanks, Eamonn Gillespie there. He loves Radio Maria. It's got me through so much these past months. My family and I have it on from morning to night. Thanks to you and your team, doing a fantastic job. God bless you all. Thanks a million, Eamonn, and your family. Lovely to have your listenership and your support. Do spread the word, let others know. We have a great gift and a blessing from Our Lady right here. And we are at your service all the way, all the way. Eileen was in touch. She said, hope you're all well. And Father Mitch Packvow, who's got his famous name on EWTN. Just saddened by what's happening in Ireland. Indeed, I remember saying that the priest on Radio Maria in the USA couldn't get over the situation here at the minute. But as Eileen says, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, we do have great faith in Ireland. She says, keep up your great work. You're all doing a great job. Thanks a million, Eileen, for that affirmation. And I mentioned this too, I think, because I was on Radio Maria Latvia yesterday. In fact, we had a lovely message from a Latvian listener to Radio Maria Ireland, who also listens to Radio Maria Latvia. I was just delighted to get the best of both worlds, as it were. I was chatting with Father Petras Skudra on Radio Maria Latvia. A good buddy of mine now at this stage. We've been back and forth. He's been to visit Ireland here and everything, you know. And just explaining about St. Patrick with the listeners for Radio Maria Latvia. So it was nice to get that text that he'd been listening and enjoyed it too. But yes, it is. It's a struggle at times too. But listen, keep up the good work. We don't give up here. We don't give up. So thanks to Francis, who's listening in on watching in on Facebook, and Gurpreet Gur. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I think it's in India. Is a big fan of the Facebook page too. And Eileen O'Sullivan, thanks indeed for your message on Facebook as well. Dermot was in touch from Bray and says he'd like to recommend a book he's been reading during Lent. Well done. The book club, of course, is a great new show as well, giving us the opportunity and encouragement to take up good spiritual reading. So Cardinal Robert Serra, he's produced one or two lovely books actually. The Day is Now Far Spent. It examines contemporary ecclesial issues in the light of the deposit of faith. Yeah, it's very interesting. He's is he still the prefect? I thought he was retired as the prefect for the Vatican Congregation for Divine Worship. I think he's retired now, Cardinal Serra. Ignatius Press, they've produced a few fine books in his, I think God or Nothing is another one by Cardinal Serra, fabulous book. And what's the other one? I know it's to do with silence. Maybe it's just called Silence. But they're nicely written, actually. So thanks for that, Dermot. Indeed, indeed. Did you know, other little news story for you, there's been a historic discovery of ancient biblical fragments made in Israel. Aidan sent me on the link there. I saw it coming through on my feed as well. Archaeologists have unearthed fragments of a 1900-year-old biblical scroll. And there's a number of caves there. They've done some archaeological mapping using drones and that of caves where the Israelites and the Jews took refuge during the Roman persecution in the early 1st century. They fled, and there's caves of horrors, these caves that they've mentioned because they found the skeletons of many poor souls who had maybe starved to death there because the Romans were hiding out from the Romans, you know. At any rate, they've discovered 80 new parchment fragments of Old Testament texts written in Greek with the name of God appearing in Hebrew. So I presume that would be Yahweh, the familiar kind of, the backwards kind of Yod. Is it Yod? What are those letters again? I did them in seminary. It looks like kind of a H. And I forget, there's another little symbol in a H. I knew the Hebrew alphabet once. I'd have to really go back and study that. But there's a familiar, the tetragrammaton, I think it's called, the 4 letters of the Hebrew alphabet without vowels. They use dots and things to express vowels of Yahweh, YHWH. And so that's interesting that affirms the present day translations for us. We're very interested to see what else they find. They discovered a very ancient, they say, 6,000-year-old skeleton of a child, a woven basket from 10,500 years ago. That seems extraordinary that they dated that far back and that would still have survived. And a lot of ancient coins as well. Fascinating. So archaeology is a fascinating study in how it affirms biblical scholarship and what we have today. Very important that that's there. Interesting question for you. If they discovered, let's say on a scroll, another letter of St. Paul, or a book of, I don't know, the second book of Joshua, say, just to throw something out randomly, would it be added to the Bible? Question for you. I'm going to leave the question hang because I want to hear your answer. And you can use Google. I'll let you use Google too. And tell me the answer. And please God, we can share tomorrow. St. Joseph tomorrow, don't forget. And we'll celebrate Holy Mass from here. I'm going to show the camera some lovely, lovely pictures that Jeanette has sent in. Let's see if I can hold these correctly. Some beautiful photographs that Jeanette has sent us of images of St. Joseph. I know if you're familiar with those or not, but St. Joseph at work. Let's see if I hold them a bit better that way, you might see them. Really nice. So thanks, Jeanette, for sharing those with us. St. Joseph, of course, it's the wrong way around. Oh, hold it up the right way on the camera. Sorry. At his bench, and Jesus there. Some of those I've seen before. They really are beautiful. This is the right way up too. Excuse me. Let me see myself. That is nice, isn't it? There's, if you can see it on the camera, there's Jesus holding a plane, and hang on, it's all crooked, and St. Joseph is as it were, supervising his work. Lovely, lovely pictures. So thanks for those, Jeanette. Excuse me. One or two others here. There he is, the worker. You see the silhouette of Our Lady and Jesus in the background too. St. Joseph the worker. We've nearly finished our 33-day consecration. That's really nice. We Mary like that one now very much. A nice little intimate moment. Sorry, now I'm holding that so badly with the camera, of Joseph and the baby Jesus. Very nice. Beautiful pictures. Very unusual. Some of those I have never seen. Very nice. So we must share those with you online, so that those who are listening and not on the camera here will be able to see them too. So tomorrow, the solemnity of St. Joseph as patron of the Universal Church, and the 33rd day of our 33-day consecration will take place as well. And you can listen to that at 8 in the morning. And if you've missed that, or it's just not a good time for you, there's always the podcast there as well. And what I will do during Holy Mass tomorrow, Begshe Asquelga Dehina Nev Yosef. It'll be interesting praying a solemnity to St. Joseph through Irish. The Gospel and Homily is always in English, of course, and the Prayer of the Faithful. But I'll pick Father Donald Calloway's any number of consecrations to St. Joseph in his book, and I'll pick one from that, and we'll pray that during Holy Mass tomorrow, maybe after the Gospel and the Homily, by way of our consecration to St. Joseph, that we become more like him. So there's my time gone again. There's never enough time today. So Jeanette, thank you very much for those lovely, lovely pictures. Excuse me. Which I've passed around the office here. She sent in here, really nice, gorgeous. So very grateful to you. And thanks for all the fabulous messages and all the communication, all the correspondence. Lovely, lovely to have this interaction with you. Yeah, the power of silence. Thanks for that, Aidan. He sent it through. That's the one. Against the dictatorship of noise. That's Cardinal Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, with Nicholas Diet, who has written his own number of books too, actually, as well. The Power of Silence. Yes, a great read too. You might all turn off your radios after that. Maybe I shouldn't recommend it. But we all do need silent time. Good, we'll pause for that moment of recollection too now for our Angelus and Midday Prayer. Thanks for your company on social media. Do share, do like, follow, and all of those good things. And do stay with us indeed. All of our dear listeners will pray together now, our Angelus. Now thanks everybody on camera.